Chapter 14. And Asa did that which was good and right in the eyes of the Lord his God, for he took away the strange altars and the high places, and broke down the pillars, and hewed down the Asherim, and commanded Judah to seek the Lord, the God of their fathers, and to do the law and the commandment. Also he took away out of all the cities of Judah the high places and the sun images, and the kingdom was quiet before him. And he built fortified cities in Judah, for the land was quiet, and he had no war in those years, because the Lord had given him rest. For he said unto Judah, Let us build these cities, and make about them walls, and towers, and gates, and bars. The land is yet before us, because we have sought the Lord our God. We have sought him, and he hath given us rest on every side. So they built, and they prospered. And Asa had an army that bore bucklers and spears, out of Judah 300,000, and out of Benjamin that bore shields and drew bows 280,000. All these were mighty men of valor. And there came out against them Zerach the Ethiopian, with an army of 1,000,000 and 300 chariots, and he came unto Mareshah. Then Asa went out to meet him, and they set the battle in array in the valley of Zephath at Mareshah. And Asa cried unto the Lord his God, and said, Lord, there is none beside you to help, between the mighty and him that hath no strength. Help us, O Lord our God, for we rely on you, and in your name are we come against this multitude. You art the Lord our God, let no man prevail against you. So the Lord smote the Ethiopians before Asa, and before Judah, and the Ethiopians fled. And Asa and the people that were with him pursued them unto Gerar, and there fell of the Ethiopians, so that none remained alive. For they were shattered before the Lord, and before his host, and they carried away very much booty. And they smote all the cities round about Gerar, for a terror from the Lord came upon them, and they spoiled all the cities, for there was much spoil in them. They smote also the tents of cattle, and carried away sheep in abundance, and camels, and returned to Jerusalem. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. And we remember yesterday, Abijah had passed on, and Abijah had kept the law of the people, and Abijah had challenged the Jeroboam and the other side, and God's using both sides now, so you can witness this. And Abijah slept with his fathers, and his son Asa is going to take over the kingdom, and that's where we're at. He's going to have quiet in the days of him. We'll find that Asa does that which is correct before the Lord, in that he does keep the law. Pick it up here in verse 1. And Asa did that which was good and right in the eyes of the Lord his God. And we remember from yesterday, Asa, that which heals the wound, this healer of the injury, or this healer of the wound, we can say. He does that which is correct. He does that which is right in the eyes of the Lord, or in that which the Lord does perceive him doing. And 2, for he took away the strange altars and the high places, and broke down the pillars, and hewed down the Asherim. Because he took away these high places, and these high places are all the places where they would establish for worship unto their images, and these would be in every goodly place, every high place, every head of every street corner. And he also broke down the pillars, and these pillars would be these things. They stand up, and they represent whatever, not a god, or whatever that may be. And they hewed down these Asherim, and these Asherim would be those cedar trees, a sign of an evergreen, and they were planted there for so to draw your eye to it. These places of life is what they would represent, and they would have their not a gods planted or stood up there, or these pillars unto them, whichever the case may be, and these would be what they call high places. 3. And commanded Judah to seek the Lord, the God of their fathers, and to do the law and the commandment. And Asa told everybody everybody of Judah, and those are those of praising, to seek the Lord, to look for God, to the God of their fathers, and to do the law and the commandment. And the law and the commandment is the commandments of God, and his law and his ordinances and his statutes, to keep them, so that you might live. 4. Also he took away out of the cities of Judah the high places and the sun images, and the kingdom was quiet before him. And he took out of all the cities of Judah these, we'll find out, these high places. Once again, all these places where they would go to worship. They set these up. God said, you shall not do this. You shall have one place, and that would be the place that they should have. But it never was good enough, and we'll find out all the other nations had these high places everywhere. And this became a great, great problem in the land, and this was a great error. And the sun images as well. These sun images, these were these images even of these things they would carve. Of course, we know you can't have the sun, so they would make an image of it and set it up there. And this was not a god. They worshipped Chemosh, not a god, which God had given to all the other nations to worship. 5. And he built fortified cities in Judah, for the land was quiet, and he had no war in those years, because the Lord had given him rest. God had given him rest because he was obedient, and God watched over all the kingdom around, guarding it, because they was doing what he said. See, and in those years, and even in those understandings, according to the law and commandments which he commanded the people, those greater understandings right there, the Lord had give him rest. 6. For he said unto Judah, let us build these cities, and make about them walls, and towers, and gates, and bars. The land is yet before us, because we have sought the Lord our God. We have sought him, and he hath given us rest on every side. So they built, and they prospered. And Asa knew that they had sought after the Lord. They had sought the Lord their God, and he could see that the God had given them rest, even great rest, and he said, let us build walls, let us fortify, let us build towers, places of watch, let us build these gates, even these places where they go in and out, even of judgment, and bars. And they put bars up, and these bars would be that which is made of iron, and they're going to represent these laws of men. And the land, because the land was yet before them, and they knew that peace would only last so long. A man can only live so long, and who knows what the next generation could bring, because each man, being responsible for his sin, each man having to turn unto God from his sin. And Asa had an army that bore bucklers and spears out of Judah 300,000, and out of Benjamin that bore shields and drew bows 280,000. All these were mighty men of valor. Asa, this one that heals the wound, had him a mighty army. These men, they bore bucklers and spears, these things that be cast forth that were pointed, sharp, barbed so they would stick. And out of Judah, these 300,000. And that's to complete these judgments, even in the fulfillments of it, will witness by this army. And out of Benjamin, that's even the son of my strength, son of my right hand. Even that great work we'll be able to witness. That bore shields and drew bows. And these bore the shields. That's to have these protections. That's to have these covenants, even the God gifts. And they drew the bow. And that's to be able to bend that bow. That's to be able to bend that bow and show the strength of the law. 280,000. And these 200 now witness the judgment. Because it's the work of God, see, and redemption, that's a score, 20. Even to witness the law, that's 2 tens is 20. That it's the work of God, and its fulfillment. All these were mighty men of valor. And watch what God does. Watch this great victory that God gives. That's what he wants to show you, the witness now, these judgments that God can render against. 8. And there came out against them Zerach, the Ethiopian, with an army of 1,000,000 and 300 chariots. And he came unto Mareshah. Now there comes out against Asa, and Judah, Zerach, he's the Ethiopian, Zarak means this coming forth. It's like this light shining forth, because this is going to be your witness. He's the Ethiopian. He's the one of darkness. He's got an army of 1,000,000. This to fulfill the fulfillments. This is for all fulfillments. To the judgment of the law. This is the law and judgment. This is the fulfillments of all things, and the 300 chariots. To complete even these judgments, these chariots, once again, these are the judgments of God coming down. These chariots, these war machines that they make, they stand up there, they got a hold of the reins. They think they can control the great strength of God, that God's put in the earth. He came to Marishah with these war machines. Marishah it's like the top or the peak, or the place of the head, as what it represents, the place of the head. 9. Then Asa went out to meet him, and they set the battle in array in the valley of Zephat at Marishah. And Asa comes on out to meet him. He's got a pretty good army himself, and they set the battle there in array in the valley of Zephat. And that valley, that low place, see that low place, it refers to the flesh. It refers to that low place, a trap, a place they can't get out of. And Zephat is that watching place, even that place of watching. And watch this in Marishah, that place of the head, that place where we can see and watch. 10. And Asa cried unto the Lord his God, and said, Lord, there is none besides you to help, between the mighty and him that hath no strength. Help us, O Lord our God, for we rely on you, and your name are we come against this multitude. You art the Lord our God, let no man prevail against you. And Asa cries out unto the Lord, God, there is none besides you to help, between the mighty and him that has no strength, between these that have great strength and these that have none, the weak before them, these ones that are oppressed. Help us, O Lord our God, for we rely on you. And this is the point that a man gets to, and every man will come to this point someday, that he has no one to turn to. He relies on God and himself to make it in this world. And God is there to help. God is there to prosper in everything that you do when you do rely on God, and we'll find out. And in your name are we come against this multitude. You art the Lord our God. Let no man prevail against you, and we'll find out no man can prevail against God, for God created all men. 11. So the Lord smote the Ethiopians before Asa and before Judah, and the Ethiopians fled. So the Lord smote the Ethiopians before Asa, and God did it. See, God smote the Ethiopians, these ones of darkness, these ones that come out of darkness, and before Asa, even the one that's going to heal the wound. God goes before. See, God goes before doing the battles. And the Ethiopians, all those of darkness, flee. 12. And Asa and the people that were with him pursued them unto Gerar, and there fell of the Ethiopians, so that none remained alive. For they were shattered before the Lord and before his host, and they carried away very much booty. And Asa, we'll find out, and everybody, his army, chases them all the way to Gerar, back into their own countries. And they fell of all the Ethiopians, those of darkness, so that none remained alive. They destroyed the whole army, all of them, for they were shattered before the Lord. And we'll find out God gives a great victory against those of darkness with this army from Asa, this healer of the injurious, or this healer of the wound. 13. And they smote all the cities round about Gerar, for a terror from the Lord came upon them, and they spoiled all the cities, for there was much spoil in them. And they smote the rest of these cities. Once again, these cities, a place that's got a guard. It's any place that's got a guard that were round about Gerar, and that's that which is dragged away. Gerar That which is dragged away are the things that are dragged away, these pieces that are dragged away. And we could kind of look at it like a saw blade as it goes through the wood cutting and it dragging away. Those little chips are falling out. That's kind of what it is, those little chips. That's what Gerar is, these things that were dragged away. For a terror from the Lord came upon them, and they spoiled all the cities. And there was much spoil in them. We're going to find out that great victory was given, and they took much spoil. And that would be everything that's left, anything they wanted out of the city, this war, this terror of war that falls upon these cities. 14. And they smote also the tents of cattle, and carried away sheep in abundance and camels, and returned to Jerusalem. And they smote also the tents of the cattle, these places where they kept the cattle. These cattle are going to represent those ones of the larger cattle, these greater cattle, the higher cattle, the ones, and they are part of a herd, these ones that are under the hand of the overseer or the shepherd, you can say, and carried away sheep in abundance and camels, and these sheep as well as the lesser cattle. They're going to represent just your common person, the flock, so to speak, in abundance. And camels, these camels are those that the merchandisers, they carry the merchandise. They represent that which packs the merchandise and all that, and they return to Jerusalem, that place of peaceful teachings, even those teachings of peace, because God had given them a great victory, and God was working a great work. We'll find out. We're going to continue with this tomorrow. We're going to continue in the next chapter, chapter 15, turn and return.